Welcome back to our podcast series, Driving Productivity in Biotech Clinical Trials: How to Maximize Valuation for Minimal Cost. In today's episode, we will discuss collaboration between contract research organizations and biotech companies, emphasizing the importance of communication and understanding in clinical trials. Today we're joined by an exceptional group of speakers. We have Tracy Newbold, Vice President of Clinical Operations at Lexicon Pharmaceuticals; Athreya, SVP and Global Head of Clinical Operations for Fortrea; and Alaric, Chief Technology and Data Officer at Fortrea. Guiding today's discussion is our moderator, Dr. Ken Park, VP of R&D Strategy and Innovation Consulting for Fortrea. Over to you, Dr. Park.
Tracy, I want to give you an opportunity to weigh in by flipping the question on its head a bit. So if originally the question was, what would a CRO recommend or suggest that sponsors should make sure that they take advantage of in a clinical trial? What do you as a sponsor, if you could have your magical wish list, what would you want a CRO to be able to bring to you within your trials that could massively make a difference for you?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. I think what's really helpful is if there's in addition to technology and footprint, I mean, this is all very important. There's a therapeutic understanding and an understanding of patient burden, site burden. How are we doing with our protocol? Is it really operationalized? I can even say that. Can you operationalize it? We need that feedback because we're sort of in this closed think tank asking all these questions. We're trying to get as many questions as we can think of answered in the same protocol. And we may not have vetted it outside of the company. Is it going to work from the CRO's perspective? Is it going to work for the sites, for the PIs? And we've oftentimes, we end up amending our protocols multiple times as we learn the hard way. So I think that's helpful. I know it's hard to get that protocol out of the sponsor's hands in time to review it and give feedback, but that's something that I wish would happen every time. A couple things, just two examples of things we've had to pull back because we weren't as thoughtful as we should have been about it. So we had a patient population that was, and there's two problems with the e-consent. One is that trust factor isn't there yet for a lot of patients with remote consent. They want to talk to their doctor. They want to see their doctor be okay with it. That this is a trial that they think is actually potentially beneficial for the patient and provides them options they wouldn't have otherwise. So that's key as well.
I love that you brought that up. I've oftentimes stated that one of the most important predictors of success for most endeavors, but certainly true within clinical trials, is the ability to put yourself in the shoes of the buyer or of the participant and really understand what will their experience be like. Is this something that you would have done if you were in their shoes? Because if not, then maybe this isn't going to work quite as well as what you would have wanted otherwise. So it is a great point. What do you see as differences between how large pharma and smaller biotech approach the issue around productivity?
I mean, I'm happy to go first on this one. So I think, my take is that in some way, biotech is empowered because they don't have the complicated system landscape that big pharma has. Like, maybe they've grown by acquisition, etc. They have many data systems, many data fabrics, all those things. So actually, change can be tricky in that situation. You can implement change, but maybe not across the whole portfolio. With biotech, because generally speaking, you have a more simplified set of systems, or in fact, you might be using the CRO systems holistically, you can actually get change implemented a lot faster. And I think is an advantage for biotech relative to the larger organizations.
I would agree with you there, Alaric. I think the agility, although, up front I talked about standardization of process actually helps with quality and acceleration. When you're going through a study, we don't go down the garden path. Like certain shocks come in, and sometimes we have to change, and we have to do that fast. And, if you are in a large establishment that has a lot of procedural bureaucracy, that can cause a lot of delay in white space. And I find that working with my biotech clients, we can be more adaptable and quicker. And so I came from a small biotech myself, and I understand that, even with the technology, it's also with like how we set up a team. It's not just about technology. It's about process. It's about maybe hybridizing roles within a study team. And there are all sorts of different ways that I feel my biotech clients are actually not only embracing, but expecting.
And just to finish that out, sorry
it-
again. I just want
it's
to say I fully agree with Alaric and Terry, and having worked in both large, mid-size and small biotech, I can kind of see the trending down with going from being highly bureaucratic. Time is less of an essence in the larger pharma. It may be with your competitive space, but they can afford generally to think through things, have a meeting about their last meeting, and then have another meeting where they make a decision to have another meeting. So, whereas in biotech, we have meetings that matter, and that's all the time we have, all that we can afford to do. So it's really the agility, as Terry mentioned, is critical. And when we need a meeting, it's because we need to talk through something and maybe change direction.
And I want to close out with a question for each of you, which is, what would you recommend to a biotech that they should do when working with a CRO in order to improve their productivity? How should they approach a CRO? What should that conversation look like?
I fully believe that the relationship can make or break the success of the trial. I think that one thing that Lexicon does uniquely, and I credit our CMO for this, is that, for example, when the database is locked and the data is analyzed, eventually there's a press release, and the CRO has to look in their email and find it, or look through the web to find out what that press release is. We don't do that. I mean, we have to follow a communication chain, but in many cases, as much as we can, we involve the CRO in the outcome of the data, like actually hold a meeting with the full team members, talk about the data, talk about how it was analyzed, and next steps for the trial. So really truly partner. And that's one of the reasons we've been partners with Fortrea for over 10 years, is because there's a relationship there. I think far too often, especially in larger pharma, it's easy to think you need another CRO, when in fact, it's really the relationship that needs to be worked on.
I love that, Tracy. I mean, one of the greatest moments of my life is working on one of the first immunomodulators that went to the market, and actually being invited to the FDA with the biotech company. It was just fabulous. And to add on and answer the question, Ken, I would just say, as an extension of the team, utilize us for any question. We're a consulting partner, and honestly, when we work together, it helps us learn as well. But if you're a small biotech company and you don't have the access to the people that we have, we're always willing to help and answer and test a protocol and think about it. Those are like the fun parts of our jobs. And we always love it when we have the opportunity to partner, like we get to partner with you, Tracy.
I mean, yeah, I think probably not much to add there. I think the partnership is key, both stakeholders coming together, and transparency as well. Because the reality of the situation is not everything will go smoothly every time. That's just the nature of the beast, honestly. But being transparent and early to warn that there's challenges and work together on it is absolutely critical for the success of anything moving forward.
Well, I want to make sure to thank each of you, Tracy, Terry, Alaric, for your time, for all of your insights that you've shared with the audience today. And so with that, thank you so much for joining us today.
This concludes today's episode of Driving Productivity in Biotech Clinical Trials: How to Maximize Valuation for Minimal Cost, where we explored collaboration between contract research organizations and biotech companies, emphasizing the importance of communication and understanding in clinical trials. Stay connected for more in-depth content from Fortrea. For more experienced perspectives and resources on biotech clinical trials, follow us on LinkedIn or visit fortrea.com.